And we are live. What is up, everyone? Good morning. Happy Thursday. And we are officially at the start of week 3. It goes fast, man. We were talking best ball season all summer long, and then boom, a month of the season is nearly over. Just Bob. Man, you're in here at 9:41, just chilling, hitting the thumbs up button, just being a model citizen in this YouTube community here that we've got going on in the Stokastic fantasy football land. And as always, with me on these live shows, Nick Lepri. Follow him at Notorious FNTSY. You were called, I believe, the GOAT yesterday. I'm not going to go that far because I don't want your head to inflate to the point where we need to resize your screen. But what's up, man? Happy Thursday. How are you?
My head already needs to be it's already too inflated, honestly. I do have to resize myself all the time. I got a huge head, like Peyton Manning's forehead level right now. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys coming out here. Max Bolognese, how are you doing? What's up, Nick Green? Hello, Just Bob. I hope all you guys are doing well. Make sure you guys hit the like on the stream, and let's just get into things if you're ready.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw tier 1 on the screen because you heard the names. You know they're starting in your starting lineups. I think we just get rolling here, and it's kind of a dud of a Thursday night game. Usually I like to get warmed up, break the ice with what's happening on Thursday night, but Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I'm not sure we're getting the all-timer in terms of gameplay tonight, but I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong. Cooper
Yeah,
Cup.
that game.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's crazy, like how bad all of the primetime games could possibly be in 1 week, right? Like we get Jacoby Brissett versus Trubisky. We get Jimmy Garoppolo versus Russell Wilson. And to close the week off, Cooper Rush versus Daniel Jones. Oh, yeah. Great scheduling, NFL. Thank you.
Well, Jimmy G versus Russell Wilson should be
It's
good.
not that bad. It's not
It's
that bad.
hopefully good. The way that the Denver offense, especially at the goal line, the way they performed, then it's not as good. Obviously, the quarterback change in San Francisco changes a lot. We've gone through that already this week, but ultimately, we're talking wide receivers today. We're going to answer some of your flex questions, especially if they pertain to the Thursday night game. But there is a lot of time to answer your questions here on the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel because later tonight, what is it, 7 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. Eastern, this man right below me on the screen, Notorious Fantasy, is going to be live on his channel, the Notorious Fantasy channel. Follow all his solo VODs over there. And he's going to be here simulcasting on the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel, answering all of your start sit questions. Get in there, get into the action. So if you have anything that doesn't get answered today, we definitely want to head into the chat over there. We start with the wide receiver position and the no-brainers. Cooper Kupp, outrageous, just outrageous in terms of first look targets. I think it was 46% that PFF tracked where Cooper Kupp was the first look on a passing play. So cool that we have that kind of information now as well. Justin Jefferson doesn't have quite the same explosion week in week 2 because Minnesota overall takes a bath. Meanwhile, Stephon Diggs is completely unstoppable against the Tennessee Titans. You're starting them matchup proof. You start your studs here, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we all could have seen that Justin Jefferson game coming because we all know Kirk Cousins is awful in prime time. Again, I talked about this a couple times on these streams. For some reason, I just forgot. I'm pretty sure he's 2-10 against the spread on those primetime games. So the
That's
guy's absolutely awful.
unbelievable.
But Justin Jefferson is in for a bounce back spot here. It's 1 o'clock. Kirk Cousins is going to be bright and bushy tailed. He's going to be excited. So Justin Jefferson versus Detroit should be a high scoring matchup. Realistically, if Goff can keep up here, so should be a great game. So I like Jefferson. Obviously, these are all 3 guys you're starting. Xavier Howard against Diggs, you're still starting them.
Yep. There's no cornerback in the league for these 3 wide receivers right now where I say, nope, can't do it. Prove me wrong, cornerbacks of the NFL, but right now, especially, oh my gosh, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I had a little concern about the fact that Gabe Davis was out, and then, okay, defenses are going to hone in on Diggs.
Doesn't matter.
Nope. That's not how it went at all. Yeah, let's move over to tier 2 and let's answer a few questions. So happy to see some of you guys that are longtime chat members, subscribers, new and old alike. Happy to see you guys in here. Max, what's up, man? Full PPR, start 4 because of 2 flex spots. All right, he's just getting into the weeds. Oof. Okay. Jamar Chase, you're starting. Period. End of story. Marquise Brown, I assume. You're starting Bateman as well. And I think you're starting
Yeah.
Samuel as well. So it really comes down to Lamb, Brown. If it's Noah Brown, I'm starting Lamb over him. If it's Marquise Brown, it's kind of a toss up. I guess it's Bateman, IU, Curtis Samuel, Jamar Chase for me.
All right, for me it would be Chase. I'm assuming that's Hollywood Brown. So Chase. Oh, it's Marquise Brown. That's what Max said. So Chase, Marquise Brown, Bateman, Samuel.
We're benching Lamb with Cooper Rush at the helm. So it's essentially
Yeah.
that's the tough decision. And then I think Ayuk actually has a little bit more upside with Jimmy Garoppolo than people realize. I think he had less upside with Trey Lance because Lance was going to be running. Now all of those plays could theoretically be Ayuk targets. So I do
Maybe.
think there's some upside there, especially if Denver can actually push the tempo and the offense here. We move to tier two. It gets bigger. The great flattening starts earlier, but all of these players, especially when you're talking about flex rankings, all of these players look great, assuming health. Keenan Allen is the clear asterisk player on the list because he's still day to day with that hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Mike Williams, I feel safe about putting in the top 15 right now. And then I guess the biggest surprise, if you were looking at the beginning of the season rankings, would be Christian Kirk. Dude looks awesome in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I agree. It is surprising, like if you're looking at this couple months ago, but after seeing that preseason game where he was just going all over, Trevor Lawrence was just force feeding this guy the ball. I'm honestly not surprised right now. Christian Kirk has the upside to be a top 10 receiver every single week, strictly because of the volume. Now, this matchup for Christian Kirk is not as good, obviously, up against the Chargers. We did see the Kansas City Chiefs go toe to toe with the Chargers, but there's a big difference between the Chiefs offense and the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Obviously, I understand that the Jaguars just absolutely eviscerated the Indianapolis Colts. They took them out back, shot them in the head. It was an easy game for them, but up against the LA Chargers, things are going to be a little bit tougher. But I still expect that you want to be starting Christian Kirk. I would have him ranked maybe 2, 3 spots lower, but nothing crazy. They're all in a very similar range. So I like Christian Kirk a ton. And like you mentioned, if Keenan Allen plays, you got to play him. If I'm the Chargers, though, realistically thinking, I don't think there's a single reason why you would roll out Keenan Allen and risk injury against the Jaguars.
I I think that is a possibility that they feel like the Jaguars are a quote unquote easier opponent. I mean, they showed me something in that 24 to nothing victory. It might be more of an indictment against the Indianapolis Colts. We'll need
Yeah.
a few more weeks to figure that part out. But I agree with you. Another thing, too, with Christian Kirk is that I think this Los Angeles defense is phenomenal, especially in the slot. They are shut down. And that's why we saw we saw Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster kind of take a back seat offensively in week 2. It's not just because they get a defensive touchdown, the game script. Obviously, that plays a
Yeah.
factor. This defense in the secondary is good in Los Angeles. So I do think Christian Kirk is a little bit more concerning than his number 11 ranking based on his Stokastic projection kind of entails. Any other players you want to highlight here? I'm on Ross St. Brown. Just a stud, man. Wide receiver 8 and deserving of it after a blow up week 2.
Yeah, I mean, this 5th or 6th round where you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, what a steal that was. I don't know if you saw that on Instagram where someone DM'd Amon-Ra St. Brown before the season. It was like, hey, pal, you better fucking wake up and play good this season. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, quoted whatever, like some piece of that. I don't remember exactly the wording, and then put it as his caption of his post, like from Sunday when they won and he scored like 1,000,000 points. It was kind of crazy, like how good Amon-Ra St. Brown is. He stuck it to the fantasy community, which is good, obviously. Like, look, I also on Twitter, I message I don't actually message the players. I'll just be like, hey, at Josh Allen, be ready for Sunday, pal. Like, as a joke, obviously.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
I'm never going to go DM fucking Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hey, buddy, wake up.
That is
You're a
bold.
weirdo if you do that.
I think it's also kind of rude. Like they
Rude,
are,
yeah.
their job is to execute what their coach tells them to, which hopefully we predict as opportunity and volume, which hopefully turns into production. That's this game we play. We don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's no one here, so I don't need to preach to the choir.
Yeah,
Uh,
obviously.
Alex White, thanks so much for the super chat, man. Which three? Pittman, Tay, Devontae Adams, Marquise
Yeah.
Brown, Bateman, Curtis Samuel, Garrett Wilson. You got a good little core cooking here at wide receiver. I understand why you have trouble with 3. You're definitely starting Devontae Adams. We'll start there.
Yeah. So
Uh,
Devonte Adams. Or did you want to answer? Sorry, I
No,
can
no,
just say.
no. Start us off, bud.
Okay, so Pittman, do you think he's going to play or not? I read that he is trending towards playing, so I'll give you two answers to this question because you paid for it. So if Pittman plays, we're to go with Pittman, Devonte Adams, and then Rashad Bateman. And then if Pittman does not play, it's going to be Bateman, Devonte Adams, and Hollywood Brown. Bateman hasn't really seen a lot of targets, but he's just super explosive. I understand that might worry some people, right? Oh, he doesn't get the targets. But at the end of the day, if he just gets 3, 4 targets a game, they're going to be incredibly valuable with how Lamar Jackson's playing. So I like Bateman a ton. So again, Pittman, Devontae Adams, and Bateman. And then if Pittman doesn't play, Devontae Adams, Pittman, and Hollywood Brown.
Okay, I feel a little differently. I feel like Adams and Pittman, if he plays, are locks. So we feel the same there. But I think the
Uh-huh.
next player for me is Curtis Samuel. I think he showed me a lot. And the Stokastic projections as we can move things over to tier three, because now we get to the real question marks. I think these 4 through 14 players are still in the if you have them and they're playing, you're starting them. I think Curtis Samuel is in our top 20 ranks right now. He is upon a projection update, is what I'm seeing here. Curtis
Oh,
Samuel,
okay.
upon projection update, is now wide receiver 18. So he's in this group as well. Jacoby
Okay.
Myers is just flat too high. I think this was done when Myers was still at full strength. We have him now down at wide receiver 27. So before you start going off on this, you just understand that we're reading the news, we're updating this as well. We just got to get these graphics in at a certain point. It's just how graphics work. The main thing here is Russell Gage. I still have concerns here. He had a team lead in targets, but it was 6 against New Orleans. Now you could say that specifically Tampa Bay New Orleans games are different than all other Tampa Bay offense games, but now that's 2 sort of mediocre to below average games offensively for Tom Brady. They bring in Cole Beasley. He and like Tyler Lockett are 2 of the most concerning players on in this group. The rest, it's only about health. Judy and Renfro, Gabe Davis as well, Jacoby Myers, but these are all flex worthy players when they're healthy, all of them.
Yeah. The two guys here that I would have ranked lower are Renfro and Lockett. Again, I think Renfro can bounce back, but I don't want him bouncing back in my lineup, right? I'll just put him on the bench because he just has not been overwhelmingly targeted by the Raiders and Derek Carr. It seems like with Devontae Adams there, they really want to focus on giving him the ball, which makes sense, right? You want to give the best receiver potentially in the NFL the football. Shocker,
Yeah.
right? And then with Tyler Lockett, I just don't trust Geno Smith. The upside's always there with Tyler Lockett. Like this week, he could score 40 points. Maybe that's a little too high, but he could score 28 points. Would not surprise me at all. But he also could score 3 points. So I'm pretty scared of that.
Yeah. The 4 passing touchdown games that Russell Wilson could spike up to. Geno Smith's not getting there. His spike weeks passing are going to be 2 to 3 touchdowns. It's just not quite the same. I want to get to some questions here. I thought I saw an interesting trade question. Tua for Drake London straight up.
Ooh, that is a good question. Well, if you don't need Tua, it actually does make sense because of how good Drake London has been. We have Drake London ranked at 22. I think that might be slightly high, but it kind of makes sense, right? Drake London, they're not using Kyle Pitts for some unbeknownst reason. Arthur Smith doesn't like him, I guess. And Drake London is just getting force fed the ball. If you don't need Tua, say Tua is your quarterback too, you have like Justin Herbert or something. Maybe not Justin Herbert because he's banged up. Maybe that's a bad example, but Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, one of these guys that you can trust, then yeah, do it. But if you kind of might need Tua in a pinch, like if you have, for instance, maybe Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr, then in certain matchups you might want to play Tua. Thus, I would rather hold Tua.
I think if you're in a 1 quarterback league, or if you're in a 2 quarterback league and you feel good enough about your QB 1 and 2, I think you do this trade.
Okay.
This is a good player. Drake London,
Yeah, I agree.
just getting the amount of opportunity, first 2 games of his career. Uh, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the offense overall in Atlanta. I'm not going to say that he's not subject to the same variance that all wide receivers are. He's going to go up and down, just like wide receivers do. But I think to a sell high situation is not bad at all. I saw another great question here. Cooper Rush or grab Kenny Pickett in Superflex. This is clearly Pickett for me. How about you?
Yeah, I would grab Pickett unless you know you have to play them this week because there's no way Rush's playing obviously tonight. Or no, there's no way Pickett's playing tonight.
Right.
If they lose this game, I think Mitch Trubisky's era is done. I saw something that says Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers, won't even let Trubisky audible. Like Trubisky's been in the NFL for like 6 fucking years, man. How can he not? How is he not allowed to audible? Like I understand he's not that good, but he's not that bad. Come on, let the guy audible. Like what the hell?
It's like the coaching staff just so traumatized because Ben Roethlisberger literally never ran the play that they called for so many years, I suppose. But all
Probably.
right, so how about we look at it mathematically, Joe? So we're going over to Stokastic.com's DFS tools, and if you want to check it out over there, there's a 3-day free trial that we can set you up with. And the boom bust tool is something we use for both DFS and for season long fantasy football. Cooper Rush's ceiling, his ceiling today, so the top of his range of outcomes is 18 and a half points, which means that outside of that, you're talking about very, very low probability outcomes. Could it happen? Yes. Will it likely happen? Absolutely not. 18 and a half points, the ceiling, again, is very replaceable in terms of immediate value on the waiver wire, at least 80 to 90% of it, like 15 to 16 points. You can find that on most waiver wires. But the ceiling for Pickett, when he comes in, is certainly going to be more than 18 and a half points, and you're going to have it
Yeah.
for more weeks. So mathematically speaking, you're getting more points overall and more weekly upside from Pickett. So unless you are in a pinch, Pickett is definitely the better roster hold right now in season-long fantasy. All right. I went on a diatribe there. Let's talk more tier 3. Anybody else you want to highlight in this group?
Yeah, and then we'll get to Derek's super chat real quick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Jerry Judy's an interesting spot because he potentially could play. I have read online now again. I don't know how much you want to trust fantasy doctors or whatever, but I trust this one who I read, and I don't remember his name, so I apologize to him. But he said that when Jerry Judy returns, there's a chance that he isn't the guy that he normally is that week because it's something that could affect him mentally. Like, oh shit, should I do this? Again, I don't understand. I'm not a doctor, but what I read does kind of concern me for if he plays this week. I'm not necessarily I know the matchup's pretty decent. I'm just not locked in to believe that Jerry Judy has a huge game.
It's coming. It could be 6 weeks. It could be 1 week. He looks explosive with the ball in his hands when healthy.
Looks good.
Here's the thing I'm most happy about is that at least Sutton produced when Judy came off the field. I think it
Yeah.
would be like full panic if Sutton didn't have a really solid stat line coming out of that game in week 2. But just getting back to Judy, I just don't know if we're going to get him at full strength for a couple weeks here. That's
I
kind of how
agree.
I feel. All right, let's do this. Derek just what? I'm sorry. I'm sure you've never experienced that at all, Derek, but thank you so much for the super chat. We're going to go with pick 2 full PPR, Nick. Hollywood Brown, Brandon Cooks, Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, Curtis Samuel, Garrett Wilson. Okay, you got a good core, and then we'll go to the second question next. We'll definitely hit them both.
Okay. So for your first question here, Brandon Cooks is one of the weirder players in fantasy. I liked him a lot in the offseason. He's just incredibly safe, right? He doesn't really have the crazy upside that will win you your week, but it's almost hard to go ahead and fade away from him, right? Because in this scenario, he's incredibly safe and he does have the upside to score like 20 points. But when I say he doesn't have a lot of upside, I mean, he doesn't have that week winning upside where he puts your team on his back. So I would go with Brandon Cooks. And then while I want to go Hollywood Brown, I honestly think I would go with Curtis Samuel. Hollywood Brown has been incredibly disappointing. I was really on him early in the offseason, and then I kind of moved. Oh, you know what? Hopkins is gone. Hollywood's good. Hollywood isn't looking that good. It's Greg Dortch season. I still think Hollywood's a good player. So I would answer him in a lot of questions, but for here, we'll go Brandon Cooks and Curtis Samuel. But it is very close in my brain between Hollywood, Samuel, and Wilson. I would prefer all of them over Ayuk and Lamb. So Hollywood and Samuel for me.
Okay, I'm going Cooks and Samuel.
Cooks and Samuel is what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I literally was saying the same exact logic tree as how I'm going through the decision making on this, Derek. But I was just thinking we actually did come to the same conclusion. Yeah, Cooks and Samuel for me as well. Hollywood Brown, if you needed 3 for some reason, would be third. Should I start Hunt going up against Chubb? Okay, so your opponent has Chubb. You're worried about Connor on Sunday, and you also have Pollard, Gibson, and CMC. Um, have Gibson and Hunt start. Okay.
Starting, yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're starting CMC, you're starting Hunt, in my opinion, and you're starting Gibson. And then you're figuring out the wide receiver from there. You have enough guaranteed touches to go with all 3, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. And then,
And that takes you out of the need to play Connor at all on Sunday
okay.
because you got the 3 running backs.
Okay, well, I would play, if Connor plays, I'm playing him over Gibson, in my opinion, I think. But what
Yeah.
I've read, it seems like
Yeah.
Connor's going to be good to go. But maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, he stretched with the team, they said, and then the official logging was a DNP. So that's tough for me. Max, see you, buddy. Thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate you always hanging out in here. Have a good day wherever you are in the world and at work. Derek, I just want to say that your running back core is solid, but I do think that the Connor Gibson situation, if they both maintain relative health, might be a situation where you can trade one for a halt, like a 1-for-2 situation, and get a really strong clarity with your starters here because you have a lot of good players. You might have the ammunition to trade up for a great player with this kind of roster.
Real quick, I would look to trade Gibson relatively soon because it does seem like Brian Robinson is going to come back. Like I've seen a bunch of clips of him running. Now again, it's obviously different wearing shorts compared to game speed, but I am a little bit concerned that Riverboat Ron, while he's seen Gibson play good, Ron Rivera might just not commit. Oh, look, Gibson's the guy now. Maybe he's like, oh, I still like Robinson. Let's work him in. And that hurts Gibson. Obviously, that's not going to happen this week, but I'm just talking about in the future. Like, if you need to make a trade, I think this week or next week is probably when the window closes on Gibson.
Well said. Well said. Thank you again, Derek, and thanks for hanging out. Shell Bell, what's up? Welcome back. Good morning from DC. Keenan, Judy, Ayuk, Dotson, Garrett Wilson. Okay, health might actually help you with this here because I think it might actually be down to Ayuk, Dotson, and Garrett Wilson by the time you get to Sunday. Sometimes it's just good to go with the health. I'm going with Garrett Wilson. Keenan, if he plays, as we said, you're going to have to play him. Keenan, Garrett Wilson, and right now Judy is highest on our rankings, but personally, I think I like Ayuk.
Okay, I don't think Judy's going to play, so I'm just going to go Keenan, Dotson, Wilson. I don't like Ayuk that much. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't know. I worried about Ayuk with Lance. I'm still worried with Garoppolo. George Kittle's coming back, and we all know George Kittle, or Jimmy Garoppolo loves George Kittle.
That's just a fact. How can he not? But Jimmy Garoppolo especially. That's tough. That's tough. Man, I hope Keenan comes back and looks like his normal self. These hamstring injuries, especially like as people get into their upper 20s, as athletes do, it just gets a little bit tougher to come back, and the risk of re-injury is high. Okay. I think we can head over to tier 4 wide receivers, the flex possibility wide receivers. And some of it, it's sad. Some of it, I kind of disagree. Like Michael Thomas, I feel like you got to put in your starting lineup. I get why we only have him at wide receiver 32 right now, but he's not playing like wide receiver 32. I get we're very historical data based. We're very opportunity value based here. I like the math that we put behind our projections, but this is one of those where, from a gut feeling basis, I don't agree with Michael Thomas at 33.
Yeah, I don't agree at all. I understand Jameis is banged up. That does somewhat concern me, though, the fact that Jameis is hurting. Jameis went and hopped in the time machine. He saw the Tampa Bay jerseys, and he's like, oh, shit, let me throw some interceptions. He went back to his old ways. He's back on the same bullshit, but he'll be fine this week. I'm not too worried. Michael Thomas still looks good, even when Jameis Winston is playing like Ray Charles in the pocket. So I expect Michael Thomas to bounce back in a big way this week. I don't even think Michael Thomas had a big game, so I'm not going to say he's bouncing back. I'll say Jameis is bouncing back. Wide receiver 33 is way too low.
I think if you're talking about trade value, you're not going to be getting anywhere close to the value of Michael Thomas unless you're considering him like a top 20 wide receiver right now. Not saying that you want to rank him there every single week, but I think he's pretty flex worthy. Like, I'd rather play him over Adam Thielen right now.
Definitely.
I should mention that we have on the board here, before people talk to us about it. Curtis Samuel has moved up significantly in our next run of projections this morning from 28 last night when I sent over this info, and now all the way up to, I believe, wide receiver 18. So in that previous tier is where he would go. Um, Allen Robinson is another player that we saw come to life, thankfully. Whew. In week 2, he's going to be just fine. Adam Thielen's the one I'm really concerned about. Anybody else you want to highlight here in this 27 through 38 group?
Yeah, we saw Adam Thielen actually get a decent amount of targets on Sunday or Monday Night Football. Sorry, that I'm still a little bit concerned though because it was kind of like the game's over. Let's throw to Adam Thielen, right? He got 7 targets. Week 1, he only had 4. If he's getting 7 targets weekly and it's not prime time Kirk Cousins, then Adam Thielen will have a good season. But right now, I'm definitely not sold, and I would definitely have him ranked lower than 27. I like Juju, Allen Robinson, Samuel, Hollywood Brown, Michael Thomas, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin over him.
Here's what's crazy. This is bold. We see this all the time from the data and tools team over at Stokastic.com. And if you haven't been a member over at our DFS Platinum package, our NFL Plus package, you may not be familiar with it, but we take bold stands, and it has helped people win millions of dollars in the DFS world. Guess where we have Adam Thielen in our latest run?
Oh, it's like 22, right? 20.
19. Yeah. 19.
Makes sense. I mean, the upside is certainly there, and this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Yep, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say is the upside's certainly there. Like, I understand the thought process of playing Thielen. I drafted him on a lot of teams. I'm not playing him right now, but I understand why you might want to, right? Because he does have that crazy upside, especially if this game does become one of those rock'em sock'em robot matches where they're just beating the fuck out of each other. So I do think that Adam Thielen could be in a really good spot. Again, he just doesn't feel safe, and maybe the risk outweighs the safety for me, and that's why I don't have him as high. But again, I could be wrong. I understand. I'm not going to be right on everything.
When many a day ago, when I played very low level football on the D line, that's what my coach used to tell me to stop doing. Not play with my arms like a rock'em sock'em. Use all your arms. Don't play like a rock'em sock'em robot. Love that line. Made me laugh. And then I tried better. Nick, we did actually have Russell Gage on there, but do we feel good about it inside the top 25? No. We probably have to start him, though, especially if Julio doesn't go. How do you feel about Julio Jones? Like, where would you put Julio on this list if he plays week 3?
If he plays, probably top 24.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident in Julio. I'm not confident in Russell Gage. It's almost like the Bucs shouldn't have played Chris Godwin week 1. Shocker, right? Like, imagine if Chris Godwin was out there. Then you'd be excited about this game. Now this is a game of like Rashad Perryman and Russell Gage versus the receivers the Packers have that aren't exciting either. This is a game that should be super fun, not fun at all.
41.5 point total. Oh, man.
Did you see Brady actually showed up to practice on Wednesday?
That's nice of him. I mean, this is such a weird season, a weird, like, finale tour.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't want to derail the conversation too much. We only have about 15 minutes left, but do you think he really came back despite the early reporting of his retirement?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I know why he was at practice yesterday. It's probably because his kids were back at school, so he couldn't kiss any of them when he was home. So that's why he went back to practice. But in reality, I think his marriage might be in jeopardy. If I'm being completely honest with you, that's what it seems like.
This is the hot take I wanted. I wanted some tea. This is what
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, Giselle tweets, "Let's go, Tom," or however she talks. I've never heard her talk. Like, did you really tweet that? And then Tom's like, "Thanks, sweetie." Like, no, Tom didn't say that. Come on, like these people, all of their accounts are managed by someone. They don't run their fucking account. So I don't know. It just seems like a very weird situation. I think Tom's going to be just fine, right? I still think he's an incredible quarterback. First 2 games are not the best. I mean, if he plays like this all year, then that fall off that I projected 7 years ago finally came, baby.
Been a lot of people counting off Tom Brady for many, many years. There's a question here. Hey, Chico says, "Hey guys, I love the live stream. Appreciate it, man. Standard League, Singletary, Stevenson, Akers. I'm going Singletary here still."
I'd go with Akers. Akers got more touches. I think I like Henderson more. let's be honest with you, against the Dolphins, I don't think there's going to be much running. They just, for some reason, don't run the ball, the Buffalo Bills. Singletary is the best back on that team. I think he's getting like 4.8 yards per carry,
He
something
looks
like that.
great.
So he's actually looking good. He's playing incredibly well. The issue is they just don't run the ball. So maybe the Dolphins just get the shit stomped out of them. Like that is possible. As a Dolphins fan, though, I think it's going to be a close game. So I think we don't see as much Singletary. I think Akers could literally elevate himself to be a top 12 back if he starts playing better.
Agree. Um, Nick Green, you're always hanging out here. I want to answer this real quick because that's an interesting question. I think, I think you can look into a trade this year with Judy and Godwin. When players are hurt like they are, I'm okay getting out, even though I believe in the talent long term of both players. I think you can look into a trade and see if you can combine them into a 2-for-1 for people who are looking the upside. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I would be looking for a trade as well, but I need the value, right? I'm
Yeah.
not just trading these guys for some half-eaten bag of ruffles, okay? You got to go ahead and actually trade them for someone who's useful because Judy and Godwin legitimately have like Godwin when healthy could be even with Evans a top 5 receiver in fantasy. Like we've seen it before. So I wouldn't trade these guys for just nothing. It's kind of
Okay.
my
All
point
right.
of view.
Let's like put the feet to the fire a little bit. We have Christian Kirk as our wide receiver 13 in our latest run of projections. Would you trade those two for Christian Kirk? You want
Together
more?
just for Kirk now.
Okay. You want more.
Yeah, if I'm going to trade both of these guys who I
Okay.
think like Judy too, if he's healthy, he could be top 12.
Okay. Jalen Waddle.
Uh, yeah, I would do that.
Okay. Dolphins fan. T. Higgins.
No.
Okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes.
AJ Brown. You're not going to get him, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
If you can combine them into Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Adams, Diggs, or Jefferson, or Cooper Cup, like, yes, do that. But Nick, how likely are in most leagues is that really going to happen? So like you got to
Depends.
look at this 9 through 15 range and really say like, who do I want? I think I'm on Ra. I think Waddle. What about Keenan Allen?
No. But there's
No.
also people that might be just down bad, right? They draft that receiver in the first round, so say Jefferson. Then they draft 3 running backs in a row. Those running backs are not the good ones, right? There's definitely running backs you get drafted in round 2, 3, and 4 that are bad. And you're going to be able to potentially just be able to make a move like that, or they because they need another receiver.
Okay, just wanted to see where you really were gauging it. So it's like wide receiver 10 to 12. Try to see if you can snag and someone you like within there that's healthy. If you combine Judy and Godwin, Nick. Super chat, Citrus Blade, half PPR, pick 2, Michael Thomas, Curtis Samuel, Michael Pittman. For me, it's Pittman and Samuel, and I'm scared to put Thomas on my bench.
Yeah, I'm playing Thomas. I don't think there's a reasonable scenario to sit Michael Thomas. Uh, don't care about the matchup. They could be playing up against the 86 Bears or 85 Bears whenever they were really good. It wouldn't concern me at all. I really think that Michael Thomas is that guy. He's him. You see that video of Stephon Diggs where it's like, I'm him. That's what Michael Thomas does. Michael Thomas is fucking amazing. I love Michael Thomas. So Michael Thomas and Pittman for me. And then obviously if Pittman doesn't play, you got to go Michael Thomas and Curtis Samuel. But
Yeah.
Pittman has looked incredible when playing, even though the Colts offense has been awful to say the least. But Michael Thomas and Pittman would be my answer. I'm very confident in Thomas. I wish I drafted him in more leagues, man. I really do. I was
You
such a
were
big fan of
so
Pittman.
into him. I was listening to a video right before the season started of us in June. You had him wide receiver 10 to start
Yeah,
us off. The
I
first
have
run
him.
of best ball rankings.
Have him in a lot of best ball leagues. So.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Speaking of best ball, what a professional
Transition.
segue. Oh my gosh. Speaking of, let's talk about the banner at the top of the screen. We've talked about it before, but honestly, guys, it's a great deal. And so we want to mention it because it's free money. Free money, as Nick and I have talked about, is very, very hard to come by. Even if you're a good fantasy football player, you can't guarantee you're in the money every single league, every single year. That's why we want to increase our volume, increase our chances of winning, especially if we feel like we're locked in and we have an edge. At Underdog Fantasy, we can realize that edge with tournaments that last all through the season, and Best Ball Summer is continuing on into the fall. They've got the Best Ball Resurrection Tournament. Just a $10 entry could win you $100,000. It's a 500K prize pool overall. And promo code Stokastic, Stokastic, is that ticket to free money. They will match your first deposit up to $100. That means if you put in 100, they'll match it with 100. You put in 50, they'll match it with 50. You get where I'm going with this. And that is like doubling up with your first bet, like placing all your money on red and getting it right in the roulette wheel. That is the same exact deal, and they're doing that for free. Take advantage of it. Check it out over there, and hit us up if you got questions, because we love playing best ball over there. Stokastic, Stokastic is your way in. Okay, is that the end of tier 4? Do we have a couple more here as we finish out?
More.
Yeah, I thought so. There's Julio Jones. Maybe he's a little higher if healthy. Maybe it's like a hedge because he's a little bit banged up. Traylon Burks, hey, I actually like Traylon Burks going forward. Bateman, I'd have ranked higher than this, and same with Ayuk. I've kind of talked all day long about how I kind of like Ayuk with Garoppolo a little bit better than I liked him with Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I would definitely have Bateman ranked significantly higher. Again, the volume just is not there for him. I know he's playing up against New England. New England is good at guarding kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like the edge of the field, like outside the numbers or inside the numbers. Again, I'm an idiot, so I don't know which one it actually is. But on the sideline, they're incredibly good at outside the numbers. They're good at stopping that, and that's what Bateman is best at. Bateman had 7 targets in week 2, 5 targets in week number 1. The guy's just incredibly talented, so I would go ahead and say that even though the New England Patriots defense realistically is designed to stop a guy like my boy Rashad Master Bateman, I thought the same thing about the Dolphins. So let's go with Bateman, and I would rank him significantly higher. I like Bateman.
We need to talk about the fact that Devin Duvernay, who's been an every down player in this passing offense, may miss this game. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Obviously, the week is young, and it's possible that by Sunday he's able to be cleared to play. But if Bateman is in there, I think we're going to see a ton of Bateman, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely. And I know we'll talk about some flex plays tomorrow in our question and answer Friday, right back here at 10 a.m. I think Likely is going to get a lot of snaps if Duvernay can't go, and I think it increases the likelihood that Rashad Bateman gets plenty of air yards. Does he turn that into real receiving yards? That's up to the Miami Dolphins, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Likely.
Miami Dolphins. That was last week. I'm sorry. I blanked out. Who's Baltimore playing this week? The New England
Patriots.
I just got so sucked into that shootout game. I just want it to happen every week. Sorry about that. All right.
Isaiah Likely.
Go ahead, bud.
No, I was just going to say, is Isaiah likely to drop a crucial pass against the Dolphins? That was a bad play by him. Hate to see that.
He'll get there. He's good.
Okay. And also, real quick, I think I should start calling Devin Duvernay and just start neighing like a horse. I think that's kind of funny. Like, Devin Duvernay. But he looks incredible. Sucks that he's not going to potentially play this week. He does look good. He's really risky for fantasy because he catches like 2 passes a game. But he's also incredible talent.
He's one of those wind sprint wide receivers. Like, they just got him on go routes, but if he gets hit for 1 or 2, like, good night. And he also has that returning upside. If you play in a league where you get points per return yards or return touchdowns, he'll help you there. Let's get to some final questions here. We got about 5 minutes remaining, but we got a ton of content for you. I mentioned it just a moment ago. Back here tomorrow on the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel at 10 a.m. Eastern, same time every Tuesday through Friday, and we do flex rankings, and we do Q&A as well. So get your questions in on Friday. We got you covered at all positions heading into the weekend. And if you want to do more live streams with us before game time, Nick's got you covered on the Stokastic Fantasy Football Hour at 7 p.m. on Thursdays and in the mornings before the slate starts on Sunday as well, leading all the way up to kickoff. Also, if you want to dip your toes into the DFS waters, Stokastic.com, first and foremost, primarily began as a DFS website, if you didn't know, and we have some of the best projections for DFS players, professional, amateur alike. Our tools are incredible. Check out our free trial, a 3-day free trial, and we've got a great offer for you once you get over there today. I've got to look up the promo code. I forget because it changed literally today. But if you want to get ready for the slate, I just want to give a little shout out at 11 a.m. Eastern, just 20 minutes from now. Dave Lawford and I go over to the Stokastic DFS channel and we break down every single fantasy relevant player from a DFS perspective. We go game by game through the entire slate. I think if you had one video to get ready for a DFS slate on Sunday, that would be it. I will throw the link up to that video into the chat as well. It's a lot of fun. It's long. Get your coffee, get in there. But I do want to give it a little shout out because we put a lot of work into that one. We put a lot of the work into this as well. Can you talk to me about this 43 through 47 range? After this, it gets really dicey at wide receiver.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson obviously needs to be higher. We both know that.
Yep.
Darnell Mooney, it sucks because I really think Darnell Mooney's talented. I've dropped him in my leagues. I think if don't have a deep bench, you can just cut him. Look, at the end of the day, he's good if he gets the opportunity.
Who said that, Nick? Who said you should not draft Darnell Mooney? Don't touch him. Who said that?
Probably you, but not me. I said to draft him because I think he's a good player. Do you think that he's a bad player? Is that why you didn't like him?
No, I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's in an impossible situation.
Yeah, I agree. The situation's awful. If they just start throwing, then hallelujah, Darnell Mooney could be good, and maybe he's a great waiver wire pickup in week 11. But right now, it seems like they're trying to run 1930s Army football where they just keep running the ball. They might as well bring out the triple option out there for Chicago. That's how bad things are looking. I feel bad for the Bears fans because now you're going to have no idea if you actually have a franchise quarterback or not because he just doesn't throw the ball. I think he has the 33rd most pass attempts in the NFL, and there's only 32 starting quarterbacks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and something I wanted to mention real quick that I just saw on Twitter. I know we're getting out of here. We're winding down. But on Austin Eckler's podcast that he does for Yahoo Fantasy, no free ads, but he brought on Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones said that when he gets on the goal line, he thinks about the fantasy owners. And that's why that motivates him to score. So shout out to Aaron Jones, a big fantasy guy.
Aaron Jones, man. Look, right now, it's early. It's early, obviously, Nick, but that draft strategy of getting a stud wide receiver, anchor running back in the second round, and then getting a few more of these top wideouts before filling out with, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire's of the world, the Tony Pollards, that looks like it's going to be really, really strong. You want to pull up the rest of the wide receiver group. You probably have that full graphic for us. We're going to answer a few more questions. What we got? Oh, look at you. Tier 6 all the way through wide receiver 60. I never doubted you for a second. Chris Olave got a lot of air yards. Marvin Jones Jr. is really old. Now I'm not starting him. Robert Woods at wide receiver 60 makes me sad. Mecole Hardman, I have him wide receiver well inside 45. And I think Jarvis Landry is considerable as a starter as well.
Yeah, in my start-sit video on Notorious Fantasy by Stokastic, I had Jarvis listed as a start because of the volume strictly. Like you said, Chris Olave had a crazy amount of air yards, but on a week in, week out basis, Jarvis Landry is significantly safer because of the volume. And then Nelson Aguilar turned into fucking Randy Moss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if you saw that catch. It was beautiful. Awesome. Was that Nelson Aguilar is the guy who that guy in Philly was like, I wouldn't like, he caught a baby out of a burning building, like saved the kid's life. He's like, you want to know who wouldn't have caught that? Nelson fucking Aguilar. That guy sucks. Do you remember that? That was so funny. But Nelson Aguilar now, incredible. So shout out to Nelson Aguilar. But he wouldn't have caught that baby. He doesn't deserve to be a top 50 receiver or anything, but incredible play. And then Robert Woods. What a disaster this Tennessee Titans offense is. Real quick, I know we're skedaddling out here, but I think Tanny Fraud's days are numbered. I like Ryan Tannehill as a player, but it seems as though things aren't looking so good. Now, maybe it's just the Bills are just that good, right? The Bills are going to kick the shit out of every team, but I'm starting to be concerned that Tannehill is going to be benched for Malik Willis at a very rapid rate.
All right, another feet to the fire. This is a great question to get out of here. And thank you guys so much for hanging out. By the way, the promo code that you're looking for is promo code PRIMETIME. I'll put the link in the chat there for you guys to get over on the Stokastic DFS side. But if you are doing rest of season rankings, hint, 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 where would you put Malik Willis for Superflex players in terms of quarterback rankings?
Well, see, the thing is, I have to look at the Titans' schedule, which I'm going to pull up right now, because it's entirely possible that the Titans have like a cupcake schedule for the next couple of games, and then Tannehill can avoid being benched. They're 0-2 right now. If they lose this game up against the Raiders, I genuinely think he's going to get benched. So they play the Raiders, the Colts, the Washington football team, or the Commanders, Indianapolis, Houston, Kansas City, Denver, Green Bay, Cincinnati. This schedule is hard as fuck. He's going to get benched by week 9, I would say. Week 9 is up against Kansas City. So maybe, I don't know, man. I think he's going to get benched. Their bye week is week 6, which kind of sucks for the benching narrative because that just seems early to pull Tannehill. Whereas if they're bye 10, you could see, oh, after bye 10, going into Green Bay, they bench him. They go with Malik Willis. I would rank Malik Willis inside of, I would rank him probably quarterback 30
Okay.
right now, like ahead of Jacoby Brissett.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a chance that Malik Willis does, like, if I could like write something on the side, it would say just be cautious because there's a chance that the Titans just roll Tanner Fraud out there every week, and then Malik Willis maybe gets next year.
I think that was a very thorough answer, and I can't thank you enough for you all sticking around till the very end. We got to get out of here because I got to get over to the Stokastic DFS show. Check out the link in chat for that matchups show. But we will be back tonight. Nikki Locks, Nikki Football will be here for the Notorious Fantasy Hour at 7 p.m. live before kickoff of Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, talking all your flex, start sit questions and Q&A. So make sure to get it in. Nick, it was a good Thursday, man. Good talking wide receivers. Tell the people where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Notorious FNTSY. That's really the only thing I use. If you want to follow my real life Instagram, you can see pictures of me, like what I actually do in real life, at Nick Lepri. And then follow our TikTok at Stokastic Fantasy, I think is the handle. I posted a TikTok that is it was a very weird TikTok. So if you guys want to watch it, watch it. It is 50,000 views, 2,000 likes. Shout out to me, the king of TikTok. Make sure you follow that.
Wow. The Zoomer strikes again. Follow the TikTok. Follow us at Stokastic DFS, our brother channel, our cousin channel, yours at the Notorious Fantasy channel, I should say. We'll be back tonight with Nick, tomorrow at 10 a.m. So much more for you on the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel. I'm Matt Savoca. Follow me at Draftaholic if you like. For Nick, I'm Matt. We'll see you guys later.